Everything is beautiful. I'm like, everything is beautiful. I'm like, everything is beautiful. Yeah. Y'all can find this on all platforms. Everything is beautiful. There should be 7G. One, two, one, two. One, two, one, two. We're doing it back to back. Y'all give it up for Nate Speaks and Yana G one more time. Okay. So let me tell you about this. When we talk about hip hop, we talk about music and whatnot and young people. And I wasn't joking. This is one of my hoop stars right here. Like, this girl is Division I basketball ready. You know what I'm saying? However, at some point a little while ago, you figured that basketball wasn't what it was going to be, and you stepped into a couple different lanes, right? And so music has brought us back together. Coach Court, Yana G, Court B, take you on the MIC. You already know what it is. Nate Speak, so I know you just was up there, but hold on. You do something right quick. Let me spit with you while we working. You got the next track ready? Oh, okay. So everything is beautiful. That's not what I was doing. So you say, next week I got some bars for y'all. Ready? Can I get a little something? You just flow with me. I'll do something. Whatever you do, I'm gonna do what I do. Ready? This is a new duo coming out real quick, y'all, before we get this thing started. Court B on the MIC. We about to get it like this. Can I get a little?
Next question, please.
I just want to say one thing on that. Thank you for breaking that down. But I think when you ask us like where are we headed, how do we get here? I think what we don't spend time highlighting is the important role. Ooh, that I can hear myself, and that is awkward at the same time. Icky part doesn't get overrun. That yes, the industry is like a being and a thing, and then there's also us, the people who play a part in it. And so let's not forget that we can create a demand for the diversity that reflects who we are and the diversity of women representation. So we can drop it low, we can drop knowledge, we can have 10-inch nails, we can have a crop cut, but if we just like lay down all of our power to this invisible industry that actually quite frankly relies on us to drive the taste, then I think we like remove our responsibility in this conversation. And also to point out, like, we never, and I'm borrowing this from my homie Akua Naru, who's an incredible MC, like, we never have a conversation about the role or the evolution of men in hip hop, because whatever they do gets normalized, and then whatever they try to pigeonhole women into becoming, or like, oh, well, it costs too much to put you all on tour, so we can't have women right now. Then it's like, well, what's happening with the women in hip hop? It's like, no, mic check 1 2 1 2. What's up with y'all dudes behind the scene who are pimping the taste making of the industry? Like, we have diversity of women, period. That's just how the world works. So we have to like make sure we're checking ourselves that we aren't giving permission to powers that be to make us all be a quote unquote Meg. I like Meg. I like Rhapsody. Don't force me to choose. You know what I mean? So I just want to make sure, like, when we have this conversation, that we don't skip past that we actually have a role in this.
So just briefly, let's continue on that path as we talk about that, because as you said, there's the representation. So would you guys say, when we're talking about what the industry has done and what our responsibility is as artists and the representation of women, where do you guys lie as creators, as historians of this art form and consumers of it? Is there space for both, and should we have to make the distinction, and why do you think that we have to let people do so much on making the distinction? Aisha, you just talked a little bit about it, but I'd like to hear, like, from everybody. Like, we can have Missy, as we talked about, and then we have the new age Meg. And do we need to have to choose? And why do we feel like we have to choose? And especially as Black and brown folks, who is dictating that for us? So what is y'all energy around that?
I mean, you shouldn't have to choose. I mean, everybody live a different lifestyle. So, I mean, you choose what represents you the best. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got conscious rappers, you got ratchet rappers. Me personally, I when I go out to the club and I go somewhere, I don't want to carry my book bag and have a book with me. I just want to be ratchet. I want to have a good time. I like Meg. I like girls that's going to give me something that's going to make me want to go out to the club and party. So I'm not judging somebody who likes Meg and nothing like that. But and then you got conscious rappers. You got the rap cities. You got people that may say, "Oh, she's a better rapper," which she probably is, but you got different forms of rap. So I'm not going to judge anybody for choosing, because it's all about your lifestyle. It's all about your mood and how you feeling that day. You know what I'm saying? When you're waking up, cleaning the room and doing something and feeling like this, you may want to listen to that. When you feel like getting loose and having a good time, you want to listen to that. You know, so who am I to judge anybody? You know what I'm saying? So me personally, I'm more ratchet. So I like the ratchet side. That's just me.
I definitely agree with that. I think it's a form of artwork, and we don't go to an art museum and just go in one section and just be like, okay, this is the section I'm gonna just stick with. You acknowledge everything, just like music. And yeah, it's a form of art, so I feel like there should be no limit.
We need to clap for that. That's amazing right there, honestly. Here we go.
For me, I would say, especially as a female rapper, like, I'm tired of just having the boxes themselves. Like, I do a lot of ratchet music, because that's just who I am. But I also do other types of rap because I'm a rapper. That's what I do, and I'm good at it. No cap. So I'm tired of like people acting like I'm stupid because I choose to do a certain type of music. I could rap about everything, and I rap about my life and what's relevant to me. So me being a quote unquote ratchet rapper, when a lot of people in Boston don't know me from rapping, they know me from leading protests. That's how a lot of people know me. And then they were like, oh, you rap too? Like what? So just ow. But I just get so sick of that, like being so constrained in that you do this type of rap. That's all you could ever do. I write what's on my spirit. So if I want to write something that's about, you know, my life and my trauma and things I've been through, I'm going to write that song. If I want to write a little song, my little twerks, little song, I'm going to write that song too. That's just what I do. And I feel like there's so many of us that do those things. And we don't have to be like, I'm conscious or I'm rich. I am Brandy Blaze. That's it, period.
Just to echo what everybody said, I believe that like we've allowed like the industry and the news and just everybody around us tell us, you know, what to listen to, when to listen to it, how to listen to it, even just with competition with female MCs in hip hop. They're always pitting people against each other when nothing. I don't see nobody doing no fake beef with any of these other male rappers. Period. So I feel like, you know, as Brandy was saying, you write what's on your spirit. There's days that I'm cleaning my house and I do want to be, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, conscious. And then there's days like I put on a record and it's Kendrick Lamar and it's, you know, Good Kid, Mad City. You know what I'm saying? Like it could be any, like, I know we're talking about females and I don't know why I just like thought about Kendrick, but that was the last record I was playing on my record player. But I feel like that's what we do. We always constantly pitting people against each other. And I feel like there's room for everything. Whatever you're feeling, that's what you're going to gravitate to, period.
Hey, cool. Can I say one thing too? A lot of these rappers out here can really do the conscious and do the serious rap if they wanted to. Meg is a good rapper. She can do that if she wanted to. But to be honest with you, people are trying to sell records. People are trying to feed their families. You know what I'm saying? And not saying conscious music doesn't do that. But through history, we realize that, you know, the club music is what makes the money. What puts you on tours. You know, what makes you travel around the world to be able to feed your family. So very few like Lauryn Hill who can actually make do you agree? Make middle ground music that can kind of feed every, you know, do her thing and do, you know, make, how can I put it? Can actually make music like Lauryn Hill. You know what I mean? Not everybody can do that. But Meg Thee Stallion is one of them who can do everything like that. You know what I'm saying? I feel like she can rap on some serious if she really wanted to. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of these dudes, a lot of these girls do that because that's what the public and that's what the kids want to hear.
One, two, 1, 2. Mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2. There we go. I have to make sure, you know, sometimes the double A's and the triple A's we want to play games on you, but that was just me. And I haven't had anything to drink, y'all. Like, well, not fully yet. So I'm not gonna blame it on that. So the energy in this space in this conversation, I feel like when we talk about hip hop, like, and we break it down to women in the intersectionality, you can tell I work in the nonprofit education space because that's the word. And so when a lot of this conversation during Women's History Month, and the things that y'all are speaking to, we have money, right? We have things like, hey, this is me, this is what I do. We should be able to be a diverse representation. Sometimes I'm ratchet, sometimes I go to church, you know what I'm saying? Whatever the case is. And when you talk about Black and brown folks, and especially then add that layer of women in the music industry, there's so many things that get compiled on top of us in terms of what we need to represent. And so I'd like y'all to speak a little bit. So we had such estrogen and melanated estrogen on the panel and fellas on the other end of it. Do you feel like there is a racial connotation to the industry in terms of what's accepted when we talk about being able to be ratchet or talk about sex or being sexual beings? I read something in the last couple of weeks in prepping for this that talked about when we had Megan and Cardi do the award show, and they would talk about how hypersexualized it was. And some folks were like, yeah, it was women's empowerment. And it was like, it was women talking about women's bodies. And then they said that they took so much flack for it. But then you had Ariana Grande came out with her song that was like 34 plus 35 to 69 song. And they were talking about how sexually forward she was and how she was opening up with the doors for women to be able to be sexual beings. But then yet on the other end of that, Black women get labeled and over hypersexualized, and there's a negative connotation to it. So I'd like to hear from you guys on, as MCs, as women in the industry, just on that, on how are Black women positioned and how are a lot of the things, the battles that y'all just talked about, specific to being a Black woman in the industry as opposed to being a white woman in the industry, or white or Black, because it's for fellas as well too, I think, in some ways. Anybody got that? Was that too deep for y'all?
Nah. First of all, I am not an MC. As I just want to say again, I'm here.
Hip hop intellectual.
Candy bars, yes. 16s, no. But I got a cold ass 8 because I'm a dancer. 5, 6, 7, 8. Boom, boom, boom. And I think particularly bringing in this topic from somebody who comes to this from the movement part, where you're just showing up in a space in a Black woman body is a whole dissertation. It is apparently a question that invites responses, though there was never a question asked. It invites other people's unsolicited opinions, unwarranted touch, like unnecessary narratives around why my body suddenly is the center of the conversation. And so none of that is by accident. I'm a proud nerd, so I'm gonna just reference really quickly. Yes, nerd gang, 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 for life. I'm here for the nerds who don't know how to be free. But I think about Sarah Bartman, right? And I'm like going back to the OG, like from the beginning of ever, Black women's bodies have been looked at as object, as like property, as something to be sexualized. And so the power for us to author our own sexuality, our own sexualization, is something that I feel like we are still very much in the fight to do. And so there's always a backlash, even from every side, right? I'm coming from Midwest, kind of Baptist leaning conservatism, as well as like how that gets imbibed. We're like, clothe your body, wear this long cloak. And so there's so many Black girls who don't know how to hold their bodies because we've had to try to learn how to protect our bodies from other people's possessive, like sick desires, that we don't know what it means to grow in our bodies with a positive light first for ourselves, and then to put that in. So we're just running out, like as soon as we walk into a space, it's everybody's comment. What's your hair doing? Why you got that on? Oh, she thinks she da 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 da. It's like, I just came out the womb. Like what? And so I think in the hip hop industry, which we also should make sure is like part of the larger music industry, which was born of all of this like misogynistic, like hip hop didn't invent misogyny, right? So just making sure people know that. It's like, so I think it's double fold, because men got to get the limelight first, and they're unchecked, kind of like fill in the blank misogyny, because they get to walk around. For us to survive, then we also now have to make our bodies part of the navigational narrative for how can we get ahead. So I'll dress a little sexy in this audition, though that's not my actual narrative. Oh, you all want my hair to be this? I'll do that. Oh, okay, spit like so and so. So I think I don't know what it's like to be in any other racialized body, so we'll only ever be able to speak from a Black woman's perspective. And yeah, I know that it's not monolithic, but I think it's still a shared story that many of us, like we didn't get to put our hand on the author's pen first around who we are in our bodies. And so I think now folks are like, oh, okay, it's just cool to be naked all the time. That's too far. Maybe we're in an overswing. I don't know. I'm not judging it, but at least the conversation is happening from the women. Nerd gang.
Yeah. I definitely think, to branch off of what you said, I think unfortunately we get a stigma put on us in all aspects, not just hip hop. So I feel like when, like you said, we're always gonna get that, what are you doing with your hair? What are you doing with your outfit? And I feel like that would happen anywhere, unfortunately. It wouldn't just happen in hip hop, but we are still in that fight. And I feel like once we get there and once we overcome that, then it's the next level and it's up from there. So yeah.
2, 1, 2. There we go. Hello, somebody. Mic check. So for my fellas, because we've been quiet the last few minutes. In terms of this conversation that's going on right now, what is it on the male part of this industry in the conversation? Because as consumers, how women have to show up in hip hop, and where's that responsibility, and how do you think that men have contribute to that female MC narrative, or that distinction that women are having to make, or to be one way or the other?
Unfortunately, dudes haven't done anything on this front. Because straight up, dudes have been rapping about their penises for 45 years. And nobody has raised an eyebrow. No one has batted an eyelash. No, there's been no response of any kind negative. And when it's women, there's always something said. There's always an eye roll. From 1996 on, they call it pussy rap because women are talking about their own bodies. A lot of times at first it was like dudes pushing this narrative. So you would have guys ghostwrite it, and then when they weren't, they complained because you were taking possession power to speak on your existence. And how dare you if I'm not doing it, if I'm not the one, who's behind the scenes being able to profit from it. So there's this weird thing where it's like, what are men's responsibilities? Men's responsibilities, the same responsibility that we have in every aspect, that we don't stand up and do what's necessary. We don't. We don't speak up enough. We don't take up enough. We just let shit happen, unfortunately. And it's sad to me. I mean, because as a dude, I know it's wrong, and I know that we're not doing nearly enough. We're not protecting nearly enough. We're not standing up and saying, hey, shut up. Just be quiet. Stop talking. Your voice isn't needed now. There's a power dynamic at play, and you don't understand what's happening here. Just do nothing. You can't tell a dude to just do nothing. It's not your place. Like this panel, I'm sitting here watching and listening because that's what should happen. I saw what WWOC is. I know what I'm supposed to do. I sat in the chair first. I know my place. I understand but the thing is that overall, men aren't doing that. They're not stepping up. They're not taking full responsibility. And the fact of the matter is that they set this whole thing in motion. The industry, a lot of this is male-led, male-dominated, male fantasy-driven, and they're just and then they pit women against each other. Like, I've been hearing this about Rhapsody forever. Rhapsody first heard about her coming out from Ninth Wonder, right? And she was in a group called Cooley High. Then he made her go solo because the buzz was about Rhapsody. So then she gets on Rock Nation and then pushing Rhapsody. And there was a backlash against that. I was like, y'all understand the reason they're pushing Rhapsody because she's the illest out of the whole crew. They're pushing Rhapsody because she's the best. They're pushing Rhapsody because she's the star. And it's not because, and then people talked about at least Rhapsody got clothes on. Like, that's not the point. The point is that she's talented. The point is that she can make the best albums. The point is she's the best lyricist. So that's why she's out front. Not that she's the proof that women with clothes on can rap. No, damn it, that wasn't the point. And the thing is that there's plenty more. So while you're giving Rhapsody all this praise, there's 20, 25 other women that exist in this space that you can also be paying attention to and have. But rather than do the work, dudes just want to focus on her and pit her against everybody else who's successful. And it's annoying.
Clap that up. So I'm going to give a moment, because y'all cool with the crowd interaction for a moment. I'm getting like the cootie hoo from the crowd that there's some like conversations that want to happen. Y'all get them? All right. This is a Clark Atlanta representative right here. Y'all shout out for HBCUs.
And I'm also Yana G's dad. So this goes full circle to the conversation. I think there's definitely a responsibility for our males to speak up for our women, not just in hip hop, but in general. And I feel as though when the men start to step up and take care of their responsibilities in life, fatherhood, whether it's as a husband, as a dad, as an educator, which I am, when it's inside hip hop itself, I think we'll see the maturation process for our female artists to speed up. I agree with you, brother Dart, that there's a lot of misogynistic glamorization inside hip hop on the male side. And it's important that if fellas don't step up and say something ASAP, there's always going to be a shortage of female MCs, which has always been the thing. There's always going to be a pitting against each other. And it's never going to be an opportunity for our sisters to be able to step up unless the brothers say something for them, because the industry is jaded against us. That goes back to some post-slavery syndrome stuff Joy DeGruy spoke about in her book. It's just a continuation that we see here in America, the corporation. But in order for us to break that, there's nothing like the foundation of a black man, a black woman, and a black child. So thank you.
Thank you, Brother Leroy. Thank you. You want it?
Hello, y'all can hear me? Okay. I got a question specifically for the women on the panel. I'm sorry, Women's History Month. So do you guys feel any extra pressure or peer pressure to publicly support or I guess big up other women artists and other women in the industry just because you are a woman? Like, do you feel like you have to, hey, this person is my favorite rapper of all time and this is a woman because I'm a woman because pro women? Or do you feel like people don't really pressure y'all like that?
I think it definitely is a pressure because you know that no one else would really do it. You know that the men aren't gonna, nobody really rocks with women's stuff in general, even with women's basketball or in women's music. Like, no one really rocks with women. So as a woman, knowing that no one does, I feel like it definitely is that pressure, knowing that if you can, why not?
I feel like I don't really feel pressure for it because that's how I feel. Period. Like, no disrespect, but like, I've been doing this for a while. I get so sick of all male shows. I'm bored. Sorry. Like, I'm over it. I need some extra. I need at least one woman. Like, come on. Like, and I know so many women that absolutely demolish male rappers. Like, it's not a joke. It's not even close. It's embarrassing for them how hard they getting smoked. Like, because it's like we have this thing where it's like, yo, we do. If there's any pressure I feel, it's pressure to be the best. That I have to be the hardest. I have to out-rap everybody because people aren't going to take me serious. That's really the pressure I feel. But when it comes to other women, like, that's genuinely how I feel. Like, I love female rappers. I love female rappers, especially from Boston. I'm always going to support. I'm always going to show love. Most of my collaborations are with other women. Like, that's just how I operate. I want to, it's, you grow up listening to rap and there's so many men. And, I have my male rappers I love. I'm a huge DMX fan, huge Jay-Z fan, all of that. But at some point, I'd be like, I don't want to hear y'all. I just don't. I don't want to hear nothing that y'all have to say because I know what you're going to say. It's going to be gun bars, drug bars. How much can I degrade women? And, you have to have a little internalized misogyny to enjoy rap. That's just true. So, there's a time and place for it, but most of the time I want to hear that.
I have to agree with Brandy. I don't necessarily feel like pressure to support other women. I just do. That's my everyday. I think for me, I go hard for women as much as I do because I feel like not only are we underrepresented in this industry, but I feel like for all of the reasons that we've already said, it's that much harder for us to do what we need to do. There's been times I've went into rooms with people and I'm the manager and people are just thinking I'm one of the groupies, or, you know, I'm trying to get an article or, you know, talk to somebody, a journalist, and they're like, oh, so what you doing later? You want to get it? Like, so I feel like because I know that we have to deal with those types of situations in anything that we do, I'm just always caping for women, period. Like, period. And we understand each other. It's just a thing, period.
I would say I feel like an obligation in like as an educator in spaces, because it's so ingrained, like you were saying, there's like a dose of misogyny that we've all like had to drink. And it's like, how do you get that? It's like a process of like getting that poison out of your system, right? It's like that's what the consciousness process is. And I think as an educator, it's a really fun game I like to play, is asking students like, who's your top 5? Like we all do that. Who's your top 5? 9 times out of 9, most people never mention a woman. And the question was not who are your top 5 men. But then when I bring that awareness, why didn't anybody mention women? They go, but you didn't ask us who our top 5 women were. And I was like, I said, who were your top 5 MCs? That like, and so I think as an educator, I feel an obligation to interrupt and try to help like detoxify all of our leanings to like inherently just give the space and the frame to men first. And it's like not a pressure, but like, you know, I don't want God and my ancestors to suck their teeth at me like a Caribbean West African auntie at the end of time, be like, you ain't even interrupt that. And then so like that's my greatest fear in the world. So I'm like, while I'm here, however I can interrupt it. Like, you know, I mean, if we talk about hip hop, like you got to start. If you talk about when, like, you know, 1979 when Rappers Delight drops, like, how you gonna tell this story out Sylvia Robinson? Like, hello, you know what I mean? And then I think about Dr. Kira Gaunt, who's a scholar who researches how double dutch at one point was going to be one of the original elements of hip hop. And who was that? That's a whole bunch of little girls, rhyming, chanting, like physically embodying the whole thing. And so like that's how I feel like it's an obligation, not a pressure, just to make sure that like we never get erased from the conversation, especially in educational spaces, because it seems too rampant how easy it is, you know what I mean? And I just want to like point out the Yana G's dad. I think that's what I'm gonna call you now. So I had the opportunity to work with Yana G's dad at High School Extension, and I always love in that space when we work with young people and ask them like how much, again, they just insidiously, people don't talk about women in hip hop culture. And if you extend beyond the element of rapping and into dance and into graffiti and into DJing, it's still a lot of erasure. Because I'm like, you know, what up for Lady Pink, who was out there hopping fences with the guys, you know, getting up on the walls and everything, and thinking about the breakers who were women who were right there. So I think across the board, we've just been trained to think of women when we're supposed to think of women. Like, I love basketball. And we are thinking of dudes instinctively, and like not thinking about women playing basketball. Oh, I got my favorite MCs, and like it just is all male. And so that's the obligation, not the pressure, but the obligation.
I just wanted to add real quick to your point, because we live in a very like heteronormative society. And to be honest, like we talk about female MCs, and like you said with the top 5, it just kind of dawned on me like where are we gonna go later on when we have, you know, the non-binary rappers and trans rappers, and like what, like we're so conditioned to put people in boxes and have such a heteronormative way of males versus females. I kind of worry about later on, like if we're having this conversation now, where does that lead us later on in the future?
Courtney, real quick, I'm gonna ask y'all a question too. Like in the last 3 years, you don't think women are running the industry right now? You don't think so? Like, I mean, women are getting heard more, records are selling way more.
Heard more?
Women. No, I mean from where it was before.
I was just like heard more.
No, what I'm saying is from back then to now. Do you think there's a growth in the women hip hop right now? You don't think there's like more women on the charts?
Well, see, here's the thing though, right? Because when I think about the early days of rap, there were always women. There were always women.
Right, but you
Lady
said
B.
back then they wasn't getting played like that
No,
on
no,
the
no, no.
radio
They
or
were. They
tour.
definitely were. The thing is that what happened was this is stupid too. What happened is that women were regulars on rap radio, which only came on at night when the sun went down. They were regular when you bought vinyl because rap was single based until like 1986. That's something we can't forget, right? What happened is it took forever for women to finally get signed to labels and put out albums. Dudes had a running start, right? So think of the perfect example. The woman who jump started a whole bunch of more young women into rap was Roxanne Shante, right? So she puts out her joint in like 84 going into 85. And then a whole slew of girls and women start rapping. Because again, you got to remember at that time, like teenagers were starting their careers. You're like 15, 16, right? But she comes out in 84. Do you know when her first album comes out? 1989. 1989 on Halloween. It's almost damn near 1990. So think about that. MC Lyte drops her album, Light as a Rock, in like 88, right? Like, MC Lyte, do you know how many women existed before MC Lyte? And she was one of the first ones to have an album out in 88. So that's what the issue is, right? There always been women rapping. There always been women at the forefront. I could pull up label upon label, indie label of women rapping. The problem was that like they were pushed aside. They were kept from, succeeding.
So, but I'm saying now, do you think they're still pushed aside right now? At this
Well,
moment?
even if they're more visible and they're making more hits and they're out there, they're still being pushed aside because there's so many more on the fringes. There's so many more. Like, as a dude who grew up with underground rap, indie rap, there are so many more women that are dope, that are just bursting. There's so many. The dude said binders full of women. There's binders full of women rappers, right? But you only gonna hear 0.005% of them, and the ones that are visible, that are everywhere, there's so many more that could be out there. So I understand what you're saying, but they're still being suppressed.
I agree, but I honestly feel that at this moment in the past 3 years, we've been hearing a lot more female rappers come out and do their thing. And I mean, underground, because of the internet now, we have a lot of underground rappers that's able to do their thing without a label. So you have more female rappers that's able to put themselves out there and get their own independent fan base without relying on the label to do it for them.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now I really think that there's a lot more women that's able to put themselves out there. Back then it wasn't like that. You had to wait on the label to do it for you. Right now you have the Instagram, you have Facebook, you have different social media outlets that allow you to do it for yourselves. And right now I feel like they're at an all-time high right now at this moment in the past 3 or 4 years. That's mine.
It's kind of a mirage though, because it's still like, we'll give y'all shine, you 5.
No, but it's way more than 5 now. We have underground rappers
Yeah.
But I'm
saying,
Doll, Dream Doll,
but
this
like
doll, that doll.
But they're tiers. We got these 5. We got these 5.
But they're able to make money on their own. They're able to go on their indivial tour.
Yeah, but if you're talking about
cult following,
running the industry,
But we're also fellas, right? You're sitting up here with a couple of
we can
women that can speak to that and what the energy is around that, right? So we're battling about that and what the perceived upliftment of the female MC and the opportunities right now. And so, ladies, as we're looking at that, can we speak to educationally what that experience is, the lived experience of being a female MC, a female artist in this time, and are the women that are out there representative of what's really going on in the culture?
I mean, there's growth for sure. It's gotten better. I think in the industry and even in Boston itself, it's gotten way better. When I first started like 8 years ago, it wasn't the way that it is right now. So there's that. However, like when Dirt was talking about like the drought that female rappers went through where there was nothing until Nicki Minaj, that would never happen to men. Ever. They would never stop signing male rappers or be like, there's going to be 6 of you and then everyone else is a woman. They would just never do. That's never going to happen. Like, they would let the industry collapse first. They would let the whole genre collapse first before there was ever a drought of years of them never signing a male rapper. That would never happen. So yes, growth.
So there was years of not having a female rapper, you think?
Mm-hmm.
There was years of not having a female
Yes, when you talk about the
2000s.
2000s.
Educate me, because I don't know. What
No, when you have the 2000s up until Nicki, before Nicki Minaj,
think about this.
there was nobody.
Because I want to know this one.
Eve put out 2 albums that got shelved by her label in a time span of like 4 years.
It wasn't good though.
No, they were. The label just didn't put them out.
They were not that good. I'm just being
no,
honest.
no,
I'm not gonna lie. It wasn't there.
No.
Eve has some records now. But let's be real. Eve wasn't that good now.
No, I'm saying that there was a span of years where labels there was a moratorium on signing women. They weren't even giving them a chance.
I guess I'm not an Eve fan, so I don't know.
No, but I'm giving her this example. There were so many others. But the thing is that straight up, women were waiting for Nicki Minaj's album to drop and become successful, waiting in the wings in the hopes that this meant that, they're going to start signing women again. Dead ass. I saw it with my own eyes.
If Nicki Minaj flopped, that would have been it. So that would have been it for us if Nicki Minaj had flopped.
So you saying Nicki Minaj is the one that kind of
she brought it back? Absolutely. Nicki Minaj is why all of us are here right now. Because like I said, if that album had flopped, that would have been it for female rap. That's it.
I don't know if you
don't attack me. Don't attack me.
No, I'm not.
God, I just didn't like the Eve album. I'm sorry.
Cool.
I mean, you know,
it's cool.
She's good though. She's good.
Cool. Yes, you don't mess with a pit bull in a skirt. Yes. But I do like. What is now? I'm blanking on the name, but Ava DuVernay's documentary that she did. Yana's dad. Wrong one.
Oh, you're talking about the one about the good life.
No. She did one. It was like 3 years ago, and it's talking about this. It literally maps out and talks to the women about women MCs in hip hop, and talks about that drought, and they give voice. Like, so it's like, this isn't like hypothesis. This isn't like a conspiracy theory. Like, it's documented that there became this selecting. You know what I mean? So I just wanted, like, if my mic sounds nice, I think is the name of it, but it's a documentary. Yeah. You can YouTube it. I don't think that's piracy. Okay. But just saying, like, it's out there, but I also want to make sure, like, we don't get confused. Like, it's just like, to me, I think when they're like, they're making June 19th a federal holiday. Like, isn't everything all good now? It's like, first of all, that wasn't the ask. That's not the need. And no, it's not all good. Like, yes, Barack Obama did live at 1600 Penn Ave for a few years, but we not at the mountaintop. And so I think, like, in a parallel way, there's a growth right now, but we can't, like, let that be a mirage, because the drought would have never happened. There's no way that it would have ever happened for guys at all. And still, it should never have hinged on, can we find another Lauren? And the well-being that did to that singular human who still eats, sleep, and pee like everybody else. Like, and where was the respect for her humanity as a woman who was like, can I have some kids and just be an adult? It should never have hinged on, will Nicki's album make it? Because then that goes, well, that's where the taste is, so let's get some more Nicki's. Yeah. And so I just think, like, we have to, like, not get too, there is growth and I'm here for it, but if the growth is just gonna pigeonhole us into thinking who can be an artist, then I say, keep your weird holiday, keep that celebration, and let's keep fighting. Because, like, I mean, there's a diversity of women who are right up here, and in this audience, there should always be room for that amount of taste throughout the hip hop industry.
Me. I do want to be, y'all heard that? I keep trying to drop those vocals because, like, you know, I was inspired by Yana G and Brandy in her bio talking about how she was a singer and a poet and Amanda and all that. But
she's trying to get featured on one of y'all records. That's what she's trying to do.
That's what I'm trying to say. I'm going to get in the studio with somebody.
Say less.
Let's just make it happen. Y'all feel me?
Pull up.
I do want us to be able to transition and close on some final thoughts on the night. I know we've got y'all out on this Wednesday for this Hip Hop Her Story event. I want to show some love before we get our last question and to our panelists. So can we show love for our folks real quick? I do want to give a moment for everybody to have some just final thoughts on the moment in a conversation, and we'll let DJ T. Lawson put us out to some music as well. But as we close here tonight, you guys, and we think about this evolution of the baddest, yay, because my mama's in the building, and MCs, and we're talking about women in hip hop and the robust conversation. And I know for some of us, we just scratched the surface of, you know, where we could go between, is it empowerment, the feminism of the hip hop music, Black women in hip hop, exploitation, sex exploitation. And closing here tonight, you guys, just some final thoughts on where and what you would like to see as artists, as curators of the culture, of educators of the culture. How can we, and what would you want to leave on people in this space and leaving here from tonight when we talk about women in hip hop and the empowerment of which we stand and the power that we have as female MCs, as curators? What would be some final, you know, thoughts and wishes and your visions of where, you know, we take hip hop in the next 5 years, the next 10 years? What is the evolution of the female MC as we look forward, you know, into our culture, into this industry, and what impact we can have as Black and brown folks on the industry?
I think we should kind of, instead of evolving in a way, kind of backtrack and be more versatile like we used to be. I think that music used to be, you can really talk about anything. You can talk about being on the train, going home. Like, you can literally talk about anything. And I feel like now it's kind of just put in that box, as you said earlier. And it's just like one thing that we talk about. And I think it's kind of more of a woman that get limited to being versatile. Because when you look at the Kendrick Lamars, the Childish Gambinos, they're so versatile with what they talk about. But for women, it's so limited. So I think that'll be the next part of evolution.
I think there's like so many different ways, like so many thoughts are like rushing to the forefront of my brain, but I'm gonna try to say them all as fast as possible. So first and foremost, when you're curating shows and we're talking about curation, we're talking about talent, I really feel like people should always look for women, period. Black and brown women, period. That's what you should be doing. It's not just filling a quota. You know what I'm saying? It's not like affirmative action. It's not that. It's actually getting them on these platforms. I think another person in this room who I'm about to put on the spot, but like DJ Y Sham, and like all of the work that DJ Y Sham you have seen do, not just your community DJ, but Sham put Nothing But Female MCs on an album together. You know what I'm saying? Introducing people to one another, making sure that these collaborations happen, that they bond with one another, and that they get to know each other, because we're all in the same industry. So I feel like that was a prime example of like pushing female MC hip hop forward, and not just female MC, but non-binary, trans, all of us, all of the inclusivities, because it's not just, I know we're in Women's Month, but I just keep saying that because as a person from the LGBTQIA community, like I have to keep advocating, because just as with Black and brown women are fighting, so are non-binary and trans people too. They are a part of this when we talk about that. So like, let's not exclude them. Another thing you could do is, you know, collaborate and like connect. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's real easy. I just feel like we just got to be more representative, and we have to have more things for us, by us, period. And I'm sorry, but like, you ever have like an all Black woman team? I'm just saying, like, it gets done, period. It just gets done. It don't even matter. We don't even think about titles or boxes or none of that. It's just what needs to be done. That's it.
Just to piggyback on that, like, absolutely, I feel like we just continue to, you know, fight for more representation, not just for us, you know, for, like Amanda said, for queer artists. Like, I wish, you know, this might be only time that I advocate for more male rappers, but I would love to see more gay male rappers. Like, I feel like, you know, queer female rappers, we're kind of on the cusp where we could be kind of accepted because there's that whole weird thing about men liking lesbians, so it's like we're like on the cusp, but like gay male rappers just basically it's like, and I know so many that are like incredible, so I want that for them, for the trans artists, for the non-binary artists, to be able to do this, because once things are just so dominated by like cis-het males, you miss out on so many great narratives, great music, great songs. Think about all the great music that you've never heard because these people didn't get a chance because of the way that they look, because of who they love, because of how they identify. That doesn't make any sense, right? And hip hop is always, to me, has been about embracing everybody, and everyone's story is important. So I want to see, more things like that. I also just want to see more women like dominating things. Like, shout out to DJ YSham again. But I want to see more things like this. I always knew that my DJ was going to be a Black woman. I just hadn't met her yet, but I knew. And when I met Sham, I knew that it was her. And I think that there's something dope about seeing that. Black female rapper with a Black female DJ. I'm sorry, like that's the illest combo out. You're not touching that. So I want to see more female DJs. Like Chelsea Law said, like, come on now. I want to see that. I want to see more of the female producers, the female videographers. You know what I'm saying? There's some dope female video directors out here. You know what I'm saying? The record label heads, the CEOs. I just want us to be able to, dominate all positions. Because like Amanda said, if you want something done, you ask a Black woman. Whoa. If you want it done correctly, you ask a Black woman.
I was going to say done right. Right.
So yeah, like shout out to DJ Sham over here because I run a project out of Harvard that like uplifts hip hop culture. And I'm always like, I understand that like my time there is just to kind of push from inside of a very old institution that has a lot of cloud around it, but to change who gets what the tables look like, period. And while there are some folks there who want to look past the Boston community and the gems that are here, I feel like it's the gems of the people that are here that make this place somewhere that I've been able to like be in for 7.5 years, because it's different up here is all I'm gonna say. It's different. It's different. But no, Sham was like one of the DJs. I was like, wait, excuse me, huh? Yes. And so like, yeah, definitely I'm on the collaboration tip. And I think that's one of the things that I'm not a scientist, but I don't know. I think that women collaborate kind of instinctually, or we're socialized to. And so again, when we're doing stuff, we're bringing that as an asset, and then you put Black on top of that and like stand back, just stand back.
We family.
Stand back. So yeah, like I'm like, putting in applications to be Yana's backup dancer. You know what I'm saying?
I can dance too.
I'm never too hard. I got a fierce two-step. But I also think like anywhere any of us are that have a little bit of knowledge, the obligation is to share it. Even if it's uncomfortable, just remind people that women have always been here. And I think that when we pass on moments, even jokes that makes it okay to erase women, that's us like skirting on our responsibility. So I just think everybody, there is literally, I am a little bit of a PBS after school special right here, but there is something that everybody can do. So do your part.
All that knowledge just got dropped. I got Dart and Alex just sitting there swinging. Yeah, we just gonna leave it.
I understood the assignment.
Well, we appreciate you being in this space. Ladies, audience, all our sideline conversations as we're closing tonight. Let's clap it up one time for our panelists that have contributed to our conversation. Shout out to all the women in the house, all my DJs, DJ T-Loss and all the ones and twos. My fellow woke women, Sandy Robinson. I got Makisha Brasway, our Director of Marketing and Communications. My middays soon coming at you. Y'all make sure y'all tune in. Jay Nori. And our chiefs of staff. Where's he at? He's behind the camera. We working him somewhere. Dr. Feelgood, Eric Lawson. We got a lot more coming to you, a lot more coming at you. It's Women's History Month. We'd like to thank everybody for coming out. Woke Media, Woke Radio is here to stay. And as we continue this path forward, all this estrogen in the building, all this black excellence, all this black brilliance, all this black girl magic, melanated magic, we continuing to spread it throughout the city. Next Wednesday, we have our final Wednesday event of the month. If you guys have been paying attention, you've been tapped into WWOC Radio on all platforms. We have the senator, our Senator Diane Wilkerson, as well as Councilor Julia Mejia, closing us out with the Woke Women Wednesdays platform that we're hosting at Nia's at Daryl's Corner Bar and Kitchen, so we can celebrate women continuing to uplift us in these spaces. Hip Hop Her Story panelists, we look forward to collaborating and getting in the studio with y'all across the board. Shouts out to DJ Sham for coming to support as well with the team. Women DJs, as we talk about keeping this movement going, like, I'm excited, y'all. I hope y'all are excited. There's a movement going on, and for our out-of-towners, our Boston Wild Blackers that are figuring this out, we appreciate the up churches being here from down south and the space that y'all are creating, and people that are bringing this energy to the city, and hopefully we continue it, y'all, because that's what tonight was about. Shout out to Danya Habanias, Navia, and the crew and the staff here for hosting us tonight. That at the last minute said we could do that. Because just like sports, we talk about women in sports, like we're of the Wakanda movement. So whatever the case may be, like Boston's in a place right now that things have to be, it was FUBU years ago, but when we talk about Wakanda and the things, we got to create spaces for us to continue to exist across the diaspora, across the identities. And so we hope that we can be a portal to make that happen for y'all. So if you haven't signed our guest list for tonight, tap in so we can continue to rock out for the rest of the month and the rest of the year with y'all. Thank y'all once again. Stay woke, get woke, be woke. Waking up Boston. T. Lawson, you got it, baby. Let's rock out.
Boogie Brown is bad as hell. Battle anybody, I don't care if you tell. I excel, they all fail. Suited a Chanel box Brown will rock. Fox Boogie Brown is bad as hell. Battle anybody, I don't care if you tell. Fox Boogie Brown is bad as hell. Battle anybody, I don't care if you tell. Fox Boogie Brown is bad as hell. Battle anybody, I don't care if you tell. I excel, they all fail. Suited a Chanel box Brown will rock the bell. Come on, baby. What up, Dada? Yo, me and my phone Beanos rock to the death. Deep mahogany mommy and shine like Glenn. Wouldn't suggest you try me. Verses like Yanni. What? I heard it on purpose like Bonnie. From the bottom to the D.O. Pee-wee flow, D.O.D. Cash on delivery, Fox D, AYTs. Watch me now. Got this rap cat mad. Can't stop me now. See the planet eyes rise when it knocks me down. I got one question for y'all. Bobby, how? We don't play it here, we regulating this can. Y'all do what you can, we do what y'all can. Basil like Luther, once the beats looped up. Rock the Fiddles and tore your whole group up. It feel like Nana when it feel like drama. Boy, me in the clique, roll tight like ganja. See me prima donna, breaking the nails. They come to Game of Fame, we get the cake and we bail. Know you trying to get the picture, but your frame is frail. We getting richer, you wish you ran game as well. Rock the bell.
Hey, don't forget to tip the bartenders.
Panelists, hold on a second so we can grab a flick, so we can grab a picture, you guys.
Some players like it and some of them don't, cause I make a lot of cash and their girlfriends won't. Fox won't swing in hell for the rock the bells. When you other MCs can't do this well, rock the bell. Rock the bell.
Real hot girl shit. And if the beat live, you know Lil Juke made it. Yaddy 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 yaddy. Body crazy, curvy, wavy, big titties, little waist. Body crazy, curvy, wavy, big titties, little waist.
I wanna slim fine, come on with them pork with them.
Throw that, take that, bounce that. Do it, baby, stick it, baby, move it, baby, lick it, baby, suck up on that.
To that hickey, baby, watch big, could've brought a Range Rover. Chain little, but I spent some change on it. And I'ma put the gang on them. They'll die about me, they'll bang on them. In that out the frame on them. Yeah, he got my name on it. Itty bitty pretty on the realest in the city. Only with the plug on it. Work the bitty showing love. Only
WWOC media team and our panelists. Let's grab a flick real quick before we close the night.
Look, this sound like Cardi took stage. This sound like Cardi with the braids. Jermaine the baby money in the thing. Wow, this stored in the case. My lifestyle, precise style. I be drip up, give me wipe down. I see them looking cold, looking stiff. Thick God's gift to a drop low, look back, that. I just drop kick, jump back, six pack. I just jumps on hit charts, impact, stop that.
WWOC and our hip hop her story panelists. We're gonna grab a flick before y'all go. I know it's late and we got you overtime. My man Sam's, he be snapping. We're gonna grab this flick.
Yeah, I see you show that, but is you gon' throw that? If you don't let me hold that, you know where to throw it. Lil' flexin', what is that? Must have me confused for a rap. Too rude for a soft nigga, need a boss, no boss. You don't give a what it cost me. I can buy my own, but I'd rather spend y'all. They tell them
1, 2. If you parked in the parking lot, make sure you guys get your tickets validated.
I'm a top notch.
Up to 3 hours free, so make sure you get your tickets validated by the Danya Habanya staff.
I said, push it, click. Yeah, pop up on the up it, watch it, blick. Yeah, push it, click. Yeah, pop up on the up it, watch it, blick. Yeah, want a bad bitch like me, keep on wishing, baby. Bust it open face, you got to kiss it, baby. Yeah. I said, push it, click. Yeah, pop up on the up it, watch it, blick. Yeah, push it, click. Yeah, pop up on the up it, watch it, blick. Yeah, want a bad bitch like me, keep on wishing, baby. Bust it open face, you got to kiss it, baby. Yeah, want another, I go fishing, baby. Yeah, I never let these broke ass fix me, baby. Yeah, I hop on top and ride that, I get lazy. Get that, soak it wet, it's dripping like the Navy. Yeah, I call him Big Daddy, he call me little baby. They know I need some tissue, baby. Hey, holla. All these diamonds different color. I done ran up all these commas. Eat the cookie like another butter. Lick this like just la. I didn't think she a Bahama, mama. Do whatever for $1. Gucci snake up on my collar. That never get up with my number. I said, push it, click. Yeah, pop up on the up it, watch it, blick. Yeah, push it, click. Yeah, pop up on the up it, watch it, blick. Yeah, want a bad bitch like me, keep on wishing, baby. Bust it open face, you got to kiss it, baby. Yeah, want another, I go fishing, baby. Yeah, I never let these broke ass fix me, baby. Yeah, I hop on top and ride that, I get lazy. Get that, soak it wet, it's dripping like the Navy. Yeah, I call him Big Daddy, he call me little baby. They know I need some tissue, baby. Hey, holla. All these diamonds different color. I done ran up all these commas. Eat the cookie like another butter. Lick this like just la. I didn't think she a Bahama, mama. Do whatever for $1. Gucci snake up on my collar. That never get up with my number. Push it, click. Yeah, pop up on the up it, watch it, blick. Yeah, push it, click. Yeah, pop up on the up it, watch it, blick. I said, push it, click. Yeah, pop up on the up it, watch it, blick. Yeah, push it, click. blick. Hey yo. Nice woman Barbie. Tay did my pink Bob Marley. I got a whole army as Charlie. Pull up with a killer, he the Joker, I'm Harley. Miss Unchunky Barbie. Me Onika Tanya. All these PR stunts, but you ain't Puerto Rican. Fresh still, guess who? Drip need a wetsuit. 1 and a 2. Give a fuck about the next few. Step 1, cross me, there won't be a step 2. Come through with some bitches that's bad, they gon' step 2. Ain't tryna pop in the next move. Then run up in my DM, RIP the X2. Check who? If it really spin your block, the queen in the text too. Texting with Jeff Bezos. I took cop new Draco. Ops is on the block, we bout to spin it like tornadoes. I'm about to put some Louis seats inside my limbo. You know you buy when you compose from any angle. You said he upgraded, LOL, did you really? But I just turned Mr. Paddock in the Richard Mille. Hold up, all these diamonds different color. I'm the leader, bitch, follow. I created this tala. Rappers making singing, la 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 la. Push it, click. Yeah, pop up on the op it, watch it, blick. Yeah, push it, click. Yeah, pop up on the op it, watch it, blick. I said, push it, click. Yeah, pop up on the